Does international trade affect your life? Explain by using Travels of a T-shirt by Pietro Rivoli. Surveying 10 students over the campus, we asked 5 questions. These questions were: who made your t-shirt? Where do the materials come from? What do you think of globalization? Do you agree with trade? And how much would you pay for your t-shirt? This graph contains the answers to question 1. Who makes your t-shirt? As you can see, majority of the students chose China. This question motivated Rivoli to write this book, with thousands of American students and activists protesting against imported t-shirts and unfair trade practices in China. While America led the cotton industry for the past 200 years, China is producing high volume of products and exports from their cheap and abundant labor force. Why China? Comparative advantage. Referring to the Heckscher-Ohlin and Ricardian model, when you talk about the comparative advantage, it can vary from size, location, abundance, or skills. China has a very large population of unskilled workers due to the labor productivity background, ecosystems, and government controls. How does this affect us today? This affects our lives and jobs today because of offshoring of jobs into China and India, who have an abundance in labor that they are efficient in also.
This graph shows jobs lost due to trade in China in the United States.
Question 2. Where do your materials come from? As you can see, majority of students chose China. This question helps dissect the topic of offshoring. Offshoring is when domestic companies invest jobs and factories into foreign countries. U.S. has been the lead in the cotton industry for generations, but now new problems have arrived, such as offshoring. With vertical FDI and the production of t-shirts, we lose that production of the industry to China. But in America, we continue to export huge volumes of cotton to China because of our comparative advantage of land and skill. Materials come from all over the world today. Many nations have adapted the structure and productivity, just like America did before the Industrial Revolution and economic development. Europe was the first leaders in the cotton industry, having advanced textile machinery. The mobility ideas helped the U.S. gain insight of textile production. How does this affect us? Today, this affects us by offshoring also, but the long-term effect from cotton labor is government independence, unskilled workers, and unfair labor.
What is globalization? This book answers our question so accurately because it shows the trade performance and development of one industry affecting our nations, workforce, governments, economies, and businesses. Rivoli elaborates on the travels of a t-shirt from USA farm efficiency, FDI performance, into China workforce, back to import policies in the United States. Globalization is countries working together with trade, ideas, finance, and people. The cotton industry has developed multiple nations economically and productively from mobility of ideas and comparative advantages found in countries. Today, developing countries are importing t-shirts from USA in a free market. Our fourth question: do you agree with trade? 60% said no, 40% said yes. Trade can have winners and losers. As a fox, you will seek solutions to problems and be optimistic. Although a hedgehog doesn't seek change, things will change with time. Trade policies and trade liberalization is a huge war and debate today in America. Some argue to impose tariffs to protect domestic markets and workforce, while some encourage free markets. Unfair labor practices also raise more concerns for trade. If the cheap demand continues to increase, labor needs increase, therefore wages decrease. Trade has developed many countries but also exported some and affected moral values. How does this affect you? This affects us because if you don't consider trade, you will be lost in the world development. As trade and globalization continues, technology and information is increasing, causing more jobs to be offshore due to technology. Last question: how much would you pay for your t-shirt? I asked this question to see how much would it vary, to see the consumer surplus. When you have trade policies like tariff, quotas, and incentives, it can alter the market price and performance. Reasons why trade policies are applied: to protect domestic markets. In Travels of a T-shirt, numerous policies have been in place to control the flow of cotton and materials across the border, today upraising many concerns and voices in our apparel industry and government. How does this affect us? This affects us because trade tax increases the price, but the higher we demand a foreign good, the cheaper the price will be. So does international trade affect our life? As you can see, it does from the book Travels of a T-shirt. It affects our life from offshoring of jobs to comparative advantages to economic developments. International trade is the biggest subset of globalization, and it starts with you, the demander, the consumer, and the buyer.
Created using Powtoon.